Coming up on Mountain News at 6, Kentucky State Police are investigating a death after a woman was found dead inside a home in Wayne County. And with Amendment 2 being voted against in every county, we take a look at what that means for Kentucky moving forward.
And highs today were in the 60s and 70s. If you think today was a little chilly, if you will, wait till this time next week. Details in a few minutes.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
A murder investigation is underway in southern Kentucky after a woman's body was discovered in a house that was destroyed by fire. That fire broke out early this morning in the Mill Springs community of Wayne County near Monticello. Here's a picture of the victim's son, Joseph Fulton. He is being sought by state police. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has been following developments with this story.
Early Friday morning, Monticello firefighters were told that a home was burning on Old Mill Springs Road in the Mill Springs community.
We arrived on scene, found the house with heavy fire involvement. There were reports that possibly had someone inside the structure.
Later, the coroner confirmed that Mary Fulton was found dead in the burned remains of the house. Her son, Joseph Fulton, was labeled a person of interest by police, who say that he made statements that he shot his mother and then set the house on fire.
We had information from callers and family members that there was a more probable case that somebody was inside the structure.
I spoke to people in this community and they say this was a shock to them. They say they never saw anything like this coming. One neighbor told me that he's known Joseph Fulton since he was a small child and never thought anything like this could have happened. Part of the house collapsed and it was ruled a total loss.
The fire cause is still under investigation. Nature of the fire is under investigation, and the details around that are in that.
Police say Joseph Fulton is to be considered armed and dangerous. He's wanted on active warrants. In Wayne County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Joseph Fulton is believed to be driving his mother's car, a 2008 gray or tan Dodge Nitro with a license plate of BHH801. One person is dead after a crash in Lawrence County. Officers with the Louisa Police Department say the crash happened yesterday evening at the intersection of Meadowbrook Lane on Kentucky 644. Officials say 32-year-old Patricia Frazier drove into oncoming traffic into the wrong lane and collided with another car. After she was taken to the hospital, Frazier died of injuries sustained in the crash. State police are investigating a situation where a man reportedly overdosed to death in Clay County. 49-year-old Sean Gibson of Oneida was arrested in connection to an active warrant during a traffic stop on Highway 66. While in the midst of the traffic stop, Gibson reportedly ingested drugs, which resulted in him overdosing to death. Gibson was taken to a hospital in Manchester, where he was later pronounced dead by the Clay County coroner. There was a house fire in Powell County. According to our sister station, County Judge Executive Eddie Barnes says flames broke out at a two-story home on Cottle Road in Stanton this morning. He says 3 of the county's fire departments were on the scene. One firefighter was hurt and was taken to the hospital, but is expected to be okay. The owners were not at home when the fire happened.
Well, we had a beautiful start to the weekend. Temperatures today were in the 60s and 70s. Made it to 73 in Jonesville. Middlesboro made it to 72. Jacksboro made it to 72. But you go towards the Monticello, Williamsburg area, we had highs in the upper 50s. 58 in Monticello, 59 Williamsburg. Somerset made it to 68. Hazard only made it to 64. Prestonsburg as well as Jackson made it to 67. And right now we're seeing temperatures in the upper 50s and low 60s, mid 60s towards Somerset as well as Monticello. Ashland checking in with the double nickels, 55 degrees, 57 in Moorhead. Irvin's at 59. When you wake up in the morning, temperatures in the 30s and 40s will greet you. A chilly, chilly evening over towards Irvin as well as Pikeville, even Clintwood with overnight lows in the mid to upper 30s. Now the rain chances are out of here for the most part, but they're going to fire back up again, some places as early as tomorrow night. Details in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Amelia.
All right, Eric, thank you. In Rockcastle County, there had been many without water in Livingston due to a dispute between city government and the water company. We understand water is now back on for 65 American Water customers who were impacted, but state police had subpoenaed financial documents and audits from city leaders. A deal has been worked out with Wood Creek Water District, but with the city in debt, many are not sure if Livingston is capable of running their own public water system. The University of Kentucky's campus police department is implementing new safety measures following a shooting near North Campus this past weekend. To enhance security, additional officers will patrol North Campus from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. with increased foot, bike, and car patrols. Temporary lighting will be added to Winslow Street, and security at the Cornerstone and Good Samaritan parking garages will be tightened, limiting access to permit holders and event attendees.
This is not going to be tolerated around our campus or on our campus. So we're taking a very aggressive approach to make sure that we keep our campus safe.
The changes take effect tonight. UKPD urges students and families to report any suspicious activity. The Lexington Fayette Double ACP says they have received reports of racist texts being sent to people in the state. The messages are similar to those that are being seen pop up throughout the country in recent days. Many reference being picked to be a slave. Police with the University of Kentucky say they were notified of the messages popping up on college campuses, specifically other colleges in the Southeastern Conference.
We anticipated that it was probably coming. Shortly after we put out that bulletin to our staff, we started getting a report in. So we have had some of our students have received that message, and we are cooperating with the other schools in SEC as we investigate this.
The FBI Louisville says they are aware of the messages too, and they are in contact with the Justice Department and other federal authorities on the matter. Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman called on the federal government to protect drivers from foreign interference. Coleman called on those in Washington to crack down on connected vehicles built in China. Concerns have been expressed about China's ability to exploit networks as well as other adversaries. In a letter to the Office of Information and Communications Technology Services, data showed vehicles from other countries could be gathered abroad. And here is what Kentucky's Attorney General said in a statement, quote, "We can't risk the safety of Kentucky families or the future of our auto industry by allowing adversaries like China to place their potential high-tech spy equipment in our garages. We're calling on the federal government to take bold action to protect our data and our infrastructure from those who wish us harm," end quote. One of the two constitutional amendments on Kentucky's ballot failed. WYMT's Caroline Mueller tells us about Amendment 2 and what this means for education in the state.
Folks in Kentucky have made their voices heard and voted no on Amendment 2. If passed, it would have allowed lawmakers to use state funds for non-public education. Tiffany Combs is an instructional coach for Perry County Schools. She says this is a huge win for public school students.
If Amendment 2 had passed, then, the money has to come from somewhere. So our funding would be cut. That would reduce the number of, teachers we have in the district, the money that we have to spend on supplies and resources for our students. It would be detrimental to our schools, especially our rural schools.
Not only did the amendment not pass statewide, but all 120 counties voted no. Combs says public schools are underfunded as it is, and hopes this will now be an opportunity to continue looking for ways to set students up for success.
Address the teacher shortage or universal pre-K for everyone across the state. There's just so many things that we can do to improve success, but reducing public education funding is definitely not one of those.
However, on the other side of the aisle, Tim Crawford with Redbird Christian School says they were hopeful the amendment would pass, as it can be challenging to make up for the money they do not receive, even with families paying tuition.
Funding is a major issue because of the demographics. As a non-public school not receiving public funding, it's incumbent upon us to find the funds to fund what we call a tuition gap here at Redbird School. In other words, the families can only pay a certain portion each year of what it really costs us to educate a student.
He says the school has been struggling to find financial support since the pandemic.
In today's economies for the world and for particularly the United States, charitable giving is really down, and so there's more and more pressure for us to be able to find sources of funding to be able to continue here at Redbird Christian School.
Although it was not the outcome they wanted, Crawford says the school has been ramping up efforts to bring in the funds they need since before Amendment 2 was on the ballot. And they are confident they will be able to do so. In Perry County, Caroline Mueller, WYMT, Mountain News.
Governor Andy Beshear took to social media expressing his gratitude to Kentuckians for voting no and reiterated his commitment to education in the state. Those posts will be linked in this story on our website, WYMT.com. Senate President Robert Stivers addressed the results in a news conference on Wednesday. He said in part, quote, "The public has spoken. They said they don't like that pathway, so we're going to look at other pathways," end quote. Earlier today, a discussion was hosted by the Interim Joint Committee focusing on cell phones in Kentucky schools. Two presentations were given showing the negative impacts phones in schools have had on children throughout the years. At the start of this school year, Bourbon County High School banned the use of cell phones in classrooms. Jessamine County schools implemented a similar policy at the beginning of this school year.
We had a beautiful start to the weekend, but a rainy weekend, though, is ahead, especially Sunday. Details in a few minutes.
And communities in one eastern Kentucky county are asking for help with feeding folks who are in need with the colder weather approaching.